Story number 1, service request. I was halfway through a logo revision when my phone buzzed on the desk. A text from the building manager. Cable tech heading up to your unit now. Should be quick. I stared at the message for a few seconds. I hadn't called the cable company. My internet was fine. I'd been working all morning without any issues. But these things happen. The office probably mixed up the schedule. Maybe it was a building-wide maintenance thing they forgot to mention in the monthly email. I saved my work and waited. The knock came about 2 minutes later, 3 solid raps. Through the peephole I saw a man in his 40s, maybe early 50s, wearing a navy utility vest over a gray shirt, no logo, no name badge. He was holding a small clipboard and staring at the door with a blank expression. I opened it partway, keeping the chain on. "Cable check," he said. His voice was flat, like he was reading from a script he'd memorized years ago. "Need to access the junction box. Should be in a closet." "I didn't schedule anything," I said. "Building-wide maintenance. Won't take long." I hesitated. He didn't look threatening. He looked bored, actually. Tired. The clipboard seemed official enough, even if I couldn't see what was on it. And the building manager had texted me. That was the part that made me unlock the chain. "It's in the bedroom closet," I said, stepping aside. He walked past me without acknowledging the direction. No thank you. No nod. He went straight down the hallway like he already knew where he was going. I followed him. I don't know why I felt like I needed to. Maybe because he didn't ask where the bedroom was. Maybe because his vest had no company name on it. He opened the closet door and crouched down in front of the back wall, near the baseboard. I stood in the bedroom doorway and watched. He didn't pull out any tools. He just ran his hand along the edge of the wall, pressing his fingers into the corner where the drywall met the floor. Then he glanced up at the shelf above the hanging clothes. At the boxes I keep up there. At the winter coats pushed to one side. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah." He didn't look at me. Just checking the connection integrity. I didn't know what that meant. I'm not sure he did either. He stood up after another minute or so, brushed off his knees, and walked past me again without a word. I followed him back to the front door. He stepped into the hallway, still holding the clipboard. "All set," he said. I closed the door and locked it. Both locks. Then I stood there for a moment, trying to figure out why I felt uneasy. That's when I heard it. A metallic scraping sound, faint but deliberate. Like something being dragged slowly across the floor in the hallway outside my door. I looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty. The sound continued for a few more seconds, then stopped. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe he'd dropped something. Maybe another tenant was moving furniture. The building is old. Sounds carry in strange ways. I went back to my desk and tried to focus on the logo revision, but I kept glancing at my phone. The building manager hadn't sent any follow-up message. No, service complete. Notification nothing. An hour passed. I was starting to feel normal again. Then the knock came. Same rhythm. 3 solid raps. I looked through the peephole. It was him. Same vest. Same blank expression. But now he was holding a canvas tool bag in his left hand. I didn't open the door. "Yeah." I called through it. "Left my tools inside," he said. "Need to grab them real quick." My stomach dropped. He hadn't brought any tools in. I'd watched him the entire time. He'd crouched in my closet and touched the wall with his bare hands. No bag. No toolbox. Nothing. "You didn't bring any tools," I said. "Must have left them in the closet." "I'll just be a second." He raised the canvas bag slightly. like he was showing me proof that he owned tools, that he was the kind of person who would forget them. "No," I said. "You didn't bring anything in." He didn't respond. He just stood there, staring at the door. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera. My hands were shaking. I held it up to the peephole and took a photo. The click sound seemed loud in the silence. He didn't move, didn't blink. He was staring directly at the peephole now, like he could see me through it. Like he knew exactly where my eye had been a second ago. I took another photo. He still didn't move. 2 minutes passed. I counted them. 120 seconds of him standing motionless in the hallway, staring at my door. Then he turned and walked away. No hurry, no frustration. Just a slow, even walk toward the stairwell. I called 911. The dispatcher asked if he was still there. I said I didn't think so. She said she'd send an officer to check the building. Then I called the building office. It rang 4 times before someone picked up. "Hi, this is Unit 312. I just had a cable technician in my apartment, and he came back saying he forgot tools, but I don't think he was actually." "We didn't schedule any service for your unit," the woman said. I stopped talking. "There's no cable work scheduled this week," she continued. "Not for you, not for anyone." "Did someone come to your door?" "The manager texted me," I said. "He said a tech was coming up." "Hold on." I heard typing. I'm looking at the log. No one signed in at the front desk today. No service personnel. Are you sure someone came to your unit? "Yes. He was in my apartment. He went into my closet." More typing. "I'm going to come up," she said. "Stay inside. Lock your door." The police arrived first. 2 officers. They checked the stairwells and the other floors. They knocked on my door and I let them in. I showed them the photos on my phone. The man's face was clear in both shots, pale, expressionless, staring. They asked if I'd seen him leave the building. I said no. I said I didn't know where he went. They went back out to search again. The building manager came up 20 minutes later. She looked at the photos. She didn't recognize him. She checked the security footage. "The camera on this floor has been out for 3 days," she said. "Maintenance was supposed to fix it yesterday." "Out," I said. "Disconnected." We thought it was vandalism. The police came back. They hadn't found anyone. No one in the stairwells. No one in the parking garage. No one matching his description on the street. After they left, I went into my bedroom. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to see the closet again, to prove to myself that he'd really been there. I opened the door and crouched down where he'd crouched. There were scratches around the baseboard, fresh ones. Thin lines in the paint where the wall met the floor, like something had been pried at the edge. I ran my finger along them. The paint flaked away under my touch. I didn't tell the building manager. I didn't call the police back. I just closed the closet door and went back to my desk. The logo revision is still open on my screen. I haven't touched it. I keep looking at the front door, at the locks, at my phone. The building manager never texted me about a technician. I checked my messages again. The text isn't there. I know I saw it. I know I read it. But it's gone. Story number 2, Detour sign. I've driven Route 47 through Breathitt County every 3rd Thursday for 6 years. Same gas stations, same diner, same stretches of empty 2-lane blacktop, cutting through hills that look like they haven't changed since the coal companies left. I know which curves ice over first in winter, and where the cell signal drops for exactly 4 miles. By 7:30 in the evening, I'm usually through the worst of it, maybe 20 minutes from the interstate. The fog rolled in just past Russo Creek, not unusual for late October, but thicker than I'd seen it all season. The kind that sits low and heavy, turning your high beams into a wall of white. I slowed to 40, then 35, watching the yellow line disappear and reappear under my hood. That's when I saw the sign. Orange reflective diamond. The kind road crews use, planted on the shoulder just before the long curve near Frozen Creek. Except this one wasn't printed. Someone had written on it in thick black marker Detour URAOADYKAE. An arrow pointed right, toward a gravel turnoff I'd never noticed before. I hit the brakes and idled there for a moment. The road ahead looked clear. No cones or barriers, no flashing lights. But the fog was dense enough that I couldn't see more than 50 feet. Maybe they were working further up, past the curve. Overnight paving, something like that. Happens all the time on these rural routes. They close a section, funnel traffic around, and by morning everything's reopened. The gravel road didn't look official, but it didn't look abandoned either. Tire tracks in the dirt, relatively fresh. I checked my phone. No signal, as expected. I could turn around, backtrack 10 miles to Rousseau and take the long way, or I could trust the sign. I turned right. The gravel crunched under my tires, loud in the silence. Trees pressed in on both sides, their branches forming a tunnel that the fog poured through like something alive. The smell hit me immediately. Wet leaves and something sharper, chemical. Diesel exhaust, maybe. I told myself that made sense. Heavy equipment, generators, the kind of machinery you'd use for road work. The path curved left, then right, winding deeper into the woods. No lights ahead. No sound of work crews or backup alarms. Just gravel and fog and the low idle of my engine. I checked the odometer. I'd gone almost a mile. That seemed wrong. Detours don't usually take you this far off the main road. I should have turned around then. The gravel narrowed. Saplings scraped against my passenger side mirror. I was going 15 miles per hour, leaning forward over the wheel, trying to see anything beyond the fog. My headlights caught something ahead. A shape, dark and angular. A truck, pickup, older model, sitting sideways across the path, completely blocking it. I stopped about 30 feet back. The pickup's headlights were off, but I could see someone in the cab. The driver's door opened and a man stepped out, tall, wearing a canvas jacket and a ball cap. He moved into my headlights and started waving both arms over his head, big sweeping motions. The universal signal to stop, to go back. I put the car in park and watched him. He wasn't frantic. His movements were deliberate, controlled. He pointed back the way I'd come, then made the reverse gesture with both hands. Go back. Turn around. Something about it felt staged. I shifted into reverse and checked my mirror. Headlights. Close. Maybe 20 feet behind me, high and bright. Another vehicle had pulled up while I was watching the man ahead. My chest tightened. I hadn't heard it approach. No engine noise, no crunch of gravel. It was just there, blocking the path behind me. I was boxed in. The man ahead kept waving, but slower now. He tilted his head slightly, like he was waiting to see what I'd do. In my mirror, I saw the driver's door of the vehicle behind me open. Another figure stepped out, backlit by the headlights. Couldn't see details, just a silhouette. They started walking toward my car. I looked forward again. The first man had stopped waving. He was walking toward me too, hands at his sides, steady and unhurried. The fog swirled around him. They were coordinating. Front and back, closing the distance at the same pace. I locked the doors. My hands were shaking. I told myself this was a misunderstanding. That maybe I'd driven onto private property. That they were just trying to help. But the way they moved, synchronized, patient, it didn't feel like help. The man ahead was 15 feet away. I could see his face now, or the shadow of it under the cap. No expression I could read. Behind me, the second figure was closer. I heard boots on gravel. I looked to my right. Trees, thick underbrush, but beyond that, a gap. Maybe a clearing, maybe a field. The ground sloped down slightly. No fence that I could see. I didn't think. I cranked the wheel hard right, jammed the accelerator to the floor, and aimed for the gap. The car lurched off the gravel and into the brush. Saplings whipped across the windshield, branches shrieking against metal. Something heavy scraped the undercarriage. I kept my foot down. The steering wheel bucked in my hands as the tires hit roots and rocks. Behind me, I heard shouting, but I didn't look back. The trees opened up. I was in a field, muddy and uneven, stubble from a cut hay crop poking through standing water. My headlights were still on, lighting up the fog in useless clouds of white. I switched them off and drove blind, navigating by the faint difference between sky and ground. The car fishtailed, tires spinning in the mud. I eased off the gas just enough to regain traction, then punched it again. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I had to get distance. I drove for what felt like 5 minutes, but was probably 2. The field ended at a tree line. I followed it left, tires chewing through soft earth until I saw a break, a dirt path, maybe a farm access road. I took it. The path turned to gravel, then to cracked pavement. A county road, narrow and empty. I turned left without thinking and drove. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I hit 50, then 60, blowing through stop signs I barely saw. I didn't slow down until I saw lights. A gas station, a few houses, the green sign for Route 11. The sheriff's station in Jackson was 15 minutes away. I parked under the floodlights outside and sat there for a full minute before I could make myself get out. The deputy on duty listened to everything, took notes, asked questions, called it in. A sheriff arrived 20 minutes later, older guy with gray hair and a lined face that didn't show much surprise. They sent a unit out to Route 47. The deputy called back an hour later. I was still sitting in the station, drinking burnt coffee from a styrofoam cup. The sheriff put the call on speaker. They'd found the sign. Still planted in the ground at the turnoff, exactly where I'd described it. No road work scheduled on that route. No permits filed. The sign wasn't county issue. Someone had bought or stolen a blank and marked it themselves. The gravel road was empty. No trucks, no people. Tire tracks everywhere, too many to count. The deputy said something else, quieter. The sheriff leaned closer to the phone. They'd checked the back of the sign. Someone had carved a date into the wood with a knife, shallow, crude. Yesterday's date. The sheriff looked at me. I didn't say anything. There wasn't anything to say. They told me I could file a report. I did. They told me they'd increase patrols in the area. I nodded. I drove home on the interstate. Took an extra hour, but I didn't care. I still drive Route 47. Different day of the week now. I don't drive it at night anymore. And I don't follow detour signs unless I can see the road work with my own eyes. Story number 3, loyalty card. I've been shopping at the same supermarket every Sunday morning for 3 years. Same route through the Isles. Same time, usually around 9. It's close to my apartment. The produce is decent, and I know where everything is. I'm a creature of habit. I teach 2nd grade, and my weeks are structured down to the minute. So weekends are when I let myself run on autopilot. Last Sunday, the checkout clerk, Denise, scanned my groceries with the usual rhythm. She's worked there forever, knows me by sight. As she bagged my yogurt, She said something that didn't register as strange until later. Someone was asking about you yesterday. I looked up from my phone. What? Yeah, a guy. Came through my line, didn't buy much. Asked if I knew the woman who comes in every Sunday morning, always gets the same stuff. Described you pretty well. Said he thought he recognized you but wasn't sure. I felt a small flutter of unease, but I pushed it down. Probably a parent from school, I said. They see me around town sometimes. Denise nodded, but her expression was uncertain. Maybe. He just seemed real interested in your schedule. Asked which register you usually use, if you come alone. She handed me my receipt. I didn't tell him anything, but it felt weird. I thanked her and left, telling myself it was nothing. Parents recognize me all the time. I'm in the school directory. It's a small community. But walking across the parking lot, I kept thinking about it. The morning was cold, and the lot was mostly empty. My car was 4 rows back. I was halfway there when I heard footsteps behind me, quick and deliberate. Excuse me. Sarah? Sarah Kemper? I turned. A man in a gray jacket stood about 10 feet away, hands in his pockets. He was maybe 40, average height, clean shaven. Nothing about him stood out except the way he was looking at me, his face blank and expectant. Do I know you? I asked, keeping my keys in my hand. I think we might have met before. You live on Ashford Street, right? The brick building near the park. My stomach dropped. I don't have a distinctive car. I don't wear name tags outside of school. And Ashford Street is not a main road. You wouldn't know it unless you'd been there? I don't think so, I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. Sorry. I turned and walked to my car, forcing myself not to run. I heard him say something else, but I didn't stop. I got in, locked the doors, and drove away. In my rearview mirror, he was still standing there watching. I told myself it was a misunderstanding. Maybe he was a former student's father. Maybe I'd met him at a school event and forgotten. But I couldn't shake the feeling that his expression had been wrong. Too neutral. Too practiced. Like he'd rehearsed the interaction. I thought about it all week. I almost didn't go back to the store the next Sunday, but that felt like overreacting. I wasn't going to let one awkward encounter change my routine. I went at my usual time, 9 in the morning, and the lot was busier than the week before. That made me feel better. I grabbed a cart and started in produce. I was picking through apples when I saw him. Gray jacket. Same man. He was one aisle over, in the bakery section, holding a loaf of bread but not looking at it. Looking in my direction. I put the apples back and moved to the next section. Canned goods. I spent a few minutes there, picking up things I didn't need, trying to see if he'd follow. He did. Not immediately. But 5 minutes later, he was 2 aisles over in pasta, still holding the same loaf of bread. I watched him from the corner of my eye. He wasn't shopping. He was pacing. I moved again, dairy. Then frozen foods. Each time, I'd glance back after a few minutes, and there he was. Never in the same aisle, always 2 sections away, always with that same blank expression. My heart was pounding. I abandoned my cart in frozen foods and walked quickly toward the front of the store. There's a customer service desk near the entrance, and I went straight there. The woman behind the counter saw my face and straightened. Are you okay? I need to talk to security, I said. There's a man following me. She picked up a phone, spoke quietly, and within a minute, a security guard in a blue shirt appeared. I explained everything. The week before, the parking lot, the man knowing my name and street. And now, today, seeing him in 3 different sections over the past 30 minutes, never buying anything, always trailing behind me. The guard took it seriously. He asked me to describe the man, then spoke into his radio. Another guard appeared, and they walked me back through the store. We found him in the cereal aisle, still holding the bread. The guard approached him, spoke to him briefly. I stayed back, near the end cap watching. The man's face didn't change. He answered calmly, gestured toward the bread, said something I couldn't hear. After a moment, the guard came back to me. He says he's just shopping, the guard said. I explained that you felt uncomfortable, and he apologized, said he didn't realize. He was following me, I said. He was in 3 different aisles. I believe you, the guard said. But he hasn't made any threats, and he hasn't touched you. Legally, we can't remove him unless he does something direct. He paused. I can walk you to your car, though, and we'll keep an eye on him. I felt helpless, but I nodded. The guard escorted me to the parking lot, waited while I got in my car, and watched me drive away. In my mirror, I saw the man in the gray jacket leaving the store behind us, still holding the bread. At home, I locked my door and sat on the couch, trying to think. I didn't know his name. I didn't know what he wanted. I kept replaying his face, the way he'd said my full name in the parking lot, the way he'd mentioned my street like it was casual information. Then I remembered something. The store loyalty card. I use it every time. It's linked to my account, my email, my payment method. I pulled out my laptop and logged into the supermarket's website. It took me a few minutes to find the account activity page. When I did, my hands went cold. There were 4 logins from a device I didn't recognize. The first was 2 Sundays ago. The others were scattered across the past 2 weeks, including one on Friday night. Each login had accessed my purchase history, my linked address, my saved payment information. I sat there staring at the screen, my breath shallow. He hadn't just been watching me in the store. He'd been inside my account. He knew what I bought, when I bought it, where I lived. He'd known my name before he ever approached me. I called the police. They took a report, said they'd follow up, but without a direct threat. There wasn't much they could do. I called the supermarket's corporate line and explained everything. They said they'd investigate the account breach and reset my password, but the damage was already done. I haven't been back to that store. I shop somewhere else now, at different times, and I check over my shoulder in every aisle. I changed my locks. I don't use loyalty cards anymore, but sometimes, late at night, I think about his face in the cereal aisle. The way he'd looked at the guard, calm and unbothered. Like this was all just a misunderstanding. Like he had all the time in the world. And I wonder how long he'd been watching before I noticed.